folks, this is Jeff for This Week with JTT. This summer, this is very serious. Like normally I talk things like daily other current events, but this one here we gotta talk about here. Now this talks about Tom Homan, who's the real border czar, but he has some very dire news for us as Americans. Tom Homan, it says right here from the New York Post, Tom Homan convinced U.S. will see major terror attack because of Biden's lax border policy is coming. Goes on to say this. Border czar Tom Homan warned Monday that he's convinced the U.S. will suffer a major terrorist attack as a direct result of former President Joe Biden's immigration and border policies. It's coming, Homan says, of the possibility of a 9/11 style attack conducted by migrants who illegally snuck across the southern border under Biden. The roughly 2 million so-called got-away migrants whom border agents never apprehended during the previous administration concerned Homan more than the drug smuggling or sex trafficking that took place under the U.S.-Mexican boundary during Biden's only term in office, he told Fox News host by Sean Hannity. These 2 million known gotaways scared the hell out of me, Homan says, adding that he fears some could be terrorists. There's no some. I have a gut feeling there could be. Here's the thing, none of them were vetted, folks, but I digress. As he goes on to say, I'm convinced something's coming unless we can find them. Good luck with that, because not only I could bet you money, and you can say I'm wrong, but I have a gut feeling a lot of them snuck into sanctuary states or sanctuary cities. I can almost guarantee you that. I can guarantee you that. Goes on to say, I'm going to conclude this, Homan, who President Trump has tasked to oversee the efforts to carry out his mass deportation plan, know that it was alarming to him that millions of migrants went to great expensive lengths to avoid detection when the Biden administration was quickly releasing illegal border crossings in the United States. So basically, it's a classic catch and release in our country, on our grounds, not knowing who they are. Criminals, terrorists, and don't tell me no such thing. Don't tell me. People saying, well, they call me illegal by flight. Don't give me that. If you're going to try to come the legal way, you're not going to tell me that with facial recognition, you're not going to know who's coming over the, like say, via like for the airports, trains, or boats. No, we can see that. But the best way for them to try to sneak through the border, especially during Biden's run in office, where they opened the gates for the illegal, not migrants, illegal aliens to come right in our country. Goes on to say, why did 2 million illegal aliens pay more to get away, Homan told Hannity. Goes on to say, they could have paid half of what they paid to cross the border, turn themselves into the border patrol agents, get released that same day, get a free airline ticket to the city of their choice, get a free hotel room, get free meals plus free Medicaid work and authorization. And the sick part is, he's right. A lot of illegal aliens were getting the red carpet treatment while everyday Americans are getting the shaft. But the irony is, there's the same policy that Biden implemented to let the migrants come in and these pretty much, mushed away from this country is the reason why Kamala Harris is not president and why the Democrats are having a possible try to get to the White House. Goes on to say, though, 2 million people paid more to get away, he argued. They didn't want to be vetted. That's the thing. For example, if you're going to get like the free food, board, medical, guess what? They're going to have to check you out. We're going to get your name, whatever. But these 2 million apparently do not. If I'm correct, he said 2 million? Makes you wonder. And this is why. It says here, 2 million people paid more to get away, he argued. They didn't want to be vetted. They didn't want to be fingerprinted. Why? Yeah, keep that in mind, folks. They don't want to be vetted. If you want to come here, this so-called country of milk and honey, why you didn't want to be vetted? Either it came here illegally. The fact it came here illegally, that's a problem right then and there. He goes on to say, this scares the hell out of me because I've been doing this for 40 years, and it should scare the hell out of every American what Biden has done. It should. But people are so busy trying to stick it to Trump, stick it to the MAGA people, stick it to Republicans, stick it to people who don't walk in lockstep of these liberal Democrats. They're too busy doing it. They're too busy being their feelings to see logic, common sense, and reasoning that if you don't vet certain people, you might let the most dangerous person in your midst. And the sad part, you're not going to get the message. You're not going to understand that until something happens. Holman describes the gotaways as the biggest national security vulnerability this country has ever seen, and predicted the U.S. will be grappling with the effects of Biden's border policy for the next 10 years, easily. The border czar's comments came one day after the madam who was in the country illegally torched and injured 12 people. Whoa, let me read this again. Let me read this again, folks. The border czar's comments came one day after a madam, a female I presume, who was in the country illegally torched and injured 12 people with a makeshift flamethrower and a Molotov cocktails in an anti-Semitic attack in Boulder, Colorado. Sad. The suspected firebomber Mohammed Sabri Suleiman is a 45-year-old Egyptian national who entered the country on a tourist visa in 2022, sought asylum, later obtained a work permit from the Biden administration according to Trump administration. Okay. Solomon's work visa expired this past March, meaning he was no longer in his country legally. Holman lamented that even through the legal process, the Biden administration was bringing people unvetted and handing out work visas like they were candy. Here's my final thoughts on this. We haven't, as a whole, and I'll be brutally honest, we haven't learned a thing. When the World Trade Center was attacked in the early 90s, I think like 1991, we should have took it as a warning. When 9/11 happened, we should have took note. We should have took heed. And what happened? We kept that border wide open. But the worst part, this last administration, he did more of an open border. He opened the gates wide open. And the illegal aliens were getting the red carpet treatment. I mean, he invited them. He gave the red carpet. The things they were getting, they were treating them better than the American citizens. And God forbid an American citizen say something, they'd be in trouble. This is why the election turned out the way it did. Now, what Holman says, within the next 10 years, don't be too shocked if we get something possibly worse for 9/11. And I don't want to begin to imagine what would be hit. I'm going to go on the line and say it'd be most likely, like, I'm not going to lie, it might be most likely Blue City, or as you would call Sanctuary City, or a Sanctuary State. Now, I'm not going to say a red state's not going to get hit. I wouldn't be surprised if a red state get hit, but the person who commit this crime, who came here illegally, settled in a Sanctuary City and a Sanctuary State. So keep that in mind. But when we're going to start waking up and start becoming proactive instead of reactive. When 9/11 happened, then we reacted. When we was more proactive and more vetted the people who come to this country, maybe illegally or expired visas and all that stuff, maybe we would have avoided 9/11. But I have a feeling, unfortunately, because you let so many of these people in illegally and not vet them, and if people choose to get away instead of, get the free room and board and all that stuff, that should make you very scared. That should make you very scared. But the people who still supporting people like Harris, Biden, all them, they don't get it, they don't care until something happens on their backyard. Until it happens in front of their front lawn and all that stuff, they don't get it. But folks, what do you think about this? Are you concerned about this? Because in reality, I think it should be concerned, because I'm not going to lie to you. I never imagined that I could live to see what happened at 9/11, but yet it did happen. And don't tell me it can't happen again. After the mass, invasion of these illegal aliens, especially 2 million of them, disappeared, got away, unaccounted for, yeah. You should be very, very worried. But what's your thoughts on it? What's your feelings on it? Let me know in the comments down below. Peace.